I want to talk about this Inbody Analysis for a minute. These are a type of bioelectrical impedance analysis scale offered by a company called Inbody. These are large scales that you stand on. You stand on electrical plates and you hold probes in your hand. It takes your weight, but it also sends an electrical signal through your body. Now, because electricity moves at a different rate of speed through water, fat, muscle, bone, etc., you can get some really cool composition analysis from how long it takes certain signals to get back to the machine. Specifically, it looks at like the water in your body, your dry lean mass, your body fat mass, your skeletal muscle mass, things like that. So I got this one done through a local nutrition company, 5-Star Nutrition, but these are also at gyms and wellness centers. If you go on inbody.com and you just type in your zip code, it'll tell you where you can find one. That sounds like an ad. I promise you it's not an ad. It's just helpful information, right? So I think these are really cool. There's some limitations, which I'll go over later, but I just kind of want to go over what these can actually tell you. So for me, it tells you the total body water weight, dry lean mass, body fat mass, weight. It gives you a muscle to fat analysis. So it'll give you your weight, it'll give you your skeletal muscle mass, and it'll give you your body fat mass. And then it'll give you your obesity analysis. So it gives you your BMI, which everybody knows the limitation of a BMI at this point. But more importantly, it gives you the percentage of body fat, which I think is really cool. And then I like this little section it does, the segmental lean analysis. It'll actually calculate how much muscle you have in each specific region of your body, and it'll compare it to the average for somebody your height and weight. So for my left arm, for instance, I'm 41.4% more muscle than someone my weight on average. And in my right arm, I'm 46.46% more muscle. I mean, quagmire, I guess. And then it gives you a body composition history as well, where it'll just track it, whether you're doing it weekly or monthly. It'll just kind of track the trend. Now, I did have a jump here. I went from 118 pounds of skeletal muscle mass to 122, back down to 117. So this kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about also, which is some of the limitations. This scale is not perfect. I mean, it's really good for what it is, but it's not perfect. And I also want to say these BIA scales are very expensive devices, which is why you find them in commercial settings. You won't find these in people's homes. These are very different than the cheap $150 ones you find on Amazon. Those don't work, so save your money. But you know, there's a reason why something like a DEXA scan is a gold standard, or in research we have air displacement tests and water displacement tests, because those are less susceptible. They're not infallible, but they're less susceptible to interferences. DEXA scans, though, are going to run you a couple $100 at a hospital, and the other two, I mean, unless you have access to a high-end research facility, you're not going to be able to get one done. So for the vast majority of people, something like this is going to be a very useful and accessible tool. You just have to try to limit some of the discrepancies that can occur. So like, for instance, here, when I had that jump, if I had had a high carb day, for instance, the day before, and I had worked out that day, that could easily account for that jump in skeletal muscle mass, because I have more water in my muscle and my muscles are more pumped. So I'm going to get a higher rating. So if you want to use this as accurately as possible, I would say you have to try to replicate the same situation every time you do it, whether you do it weekly or monthly. I would do it the same exact way. So for me, for instance, I do it fasted earlier in the day, before I've gone to the gym or anything else. And that gives you a more accurate reading. This video has gone longer than I wanted it to, but I hope you guys get some cool information out of this. I mean, this is to me a fun, useful way of tracking stuff. Specifically for me, I'm tracking the body fat percentage. I've been overweight most of my life, and I have the goal of hitting 10% body fat. So for me, this can kind of tell me, just based off of this, how much more weight I need to lose before I can hit 10% body fat, which for me, that's going to be close to 240 pounds, assuming I don't lose too much more muscle as I lose weight, which there's ways to limit that, but that's also not inevitable. But again, it's just a fun, useful tool, and just another thing you could do while trying to lose weight and get healthier. Thank you.